All right. Well, everybody who ends up watching this video later, welcome to this Dolmenwood prep video. I'm basically just going to be going through a few things. Basically, I'm going to be trying to create some adventure hooks and some rumors for individual characters. One of the things I've already done is I've come up with lists of like party hooks, things that they can pick, sort of in media res adventures that they can start in the middle of. And yeah, I'm going to be doing individual character rumors too, individual character hooks, things that they start with more so than other people. Hey, TDM. Hey, how you doing? Glad you could make it. I'm starting a little earlier than the scheduled. Hey, Crow. Awesome. Great. Glad you could make it too. Yeah, I got kind of free a little earlier than I thought, and I figured I might as well start a little earlier. That way I can do more before I get too tired and have to go to bed. Today was my first day of classes, so I'm pretty tired in one sense. But I'm ready to be working on some Dolmenwood stuff because I have been wanting to get to it all day. Yeah, so like I was saying, basically what I'm going to be doing today in this stream is trying to come up with some hooks that I can give to individual players. In other words, so along with their background, with their role, and along with their, which is sort of like a character motivation hook into the world, right? An archetype that they can play, and along with the sort of general rumors that they all know, and the individual situation that they start out in. I wanted to come up with rumors that are more like actionable for individual players. What I mean by actionable is things like, you have a map to this particular treasure, or you have like a particular, the password to this magical door that is like things like that, which will let the players don't necessarily force them into any particular adventure, but give them more material that they can choose to go to. So that, they're in the middle of an initial adventure, they can do it, there'll be hooks and rumors there, but then they'll also be like, well, I also have this bit of information. Maybe we could follow up on that sort of thing. Hey, let's see, do I find a little tired? Tomorrow's my first taste of Blood Bank Laboratory. Wow, interesting. That sounds like I'm not sure if it's fun. I think that sounds fun. I don't know what a blood bank laboratory, but when you use the word taste there, my mind immediately made you into a vampire. I hope you understand that. No, but that's great. That's great. Exactly. Interactable right away. That's my goal. So to that end, I was going to look at the various starting kind of quests and then the regions that are nearby and just try to, maybe connect players to individual adventures or locations that are not tied into any of the factions. That's what I don't really want. I want these to not be tied into any of the factions or any of the big things going on. I'd like these to be hooks into little locations or little encounters, little adventures that they can go and do, have a payoff for it, and again, give them that sort of hook into the world. I was thinking I could do something out. Well, actually, there's a whole bunch of places I could do these hooks in. Maybe out in East, I added in, of course, Alterstone and Black Apple, so I could add something there, the Black Apple Brew. But then also I could do maybe something into the Hole in the Oak, or yeah, one of those other dungeons that I added in. So we'll see how that ends up going. But to that end, like I said, I wanted to kind of bring these open. Let's see, is that working? Oh, I see. I gotta go like this. Okay. These were the starting scenarios that I developed in that one live stream, or that worked with some of you guys to develop there, and that was really cool. And then these 8 are really fun. But as I read through them, I realized I want things like this for each of the players, right? Like for example, that you have a page from an old book describing the ancient fairy keep, or your friend, the vicar of the Church of St. Fogarty, has gone missing. Or you happen to know where this book that Lady Beryl Dramius wants is. That sort of stuff, right? So there's no immediate pressure to go and do anything about it. You don't have to go and act. But it's a thing, it's a quest in your back pocket. That, assuming the rest of the dungeon, assuming the rest of the adventure is not to your taste, or you guys, you're kind of, well, we finished that, what do we do now? You have these you could always go to. So the question is, which ones do I use? Personal adventure hooks. Now I could tie these into the backgrounds or the roles. That would be something. That way, if you pick the role, you also get that hook. Some of these actually kind of already have that. Some of them do, some of them don't. You know, I'm sure you guys have figured this out by now, but most of my prep is like brainstorming and then something clicks at some point. I kind of just say enough stuff and then eventually something clicks and I'm like, oh, that works. And then I start developing it. I know other people have much more productive ways of actually prepping for an adventure. Let's see through the some of the rumors in the back, and I'll see if some of those lead to actionable quests. Let me open this up a bit. All right, so I don't think I'm going to be so interested in doing any Black Swell things. But Castle Brackenwold, I'm going to look through them, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get a d20, and I'm just going to roll, and I'm going to see what rumors I get, and then see how I can make them actionable. Right? That's my goal. So I'm gonna try to tie them into the players in particular ways. So let's roll. What do we get? Got 13. Okay, so that's the singing spring. In the wetlands to the southwest is a magical spring that grants a beautiful singing voice to any who drink from it, even animals. It can be found by following melodies drifting on the wind. That's really good. Okay, so I'm gonna mark that down. One of the ones that we're starting with is the singing spring. Now, I want to make that into a bigger, not a bigger quest, maybe a bigger quest, but something more concrete than just, you know, a rumor about this place, which grants a beautiful singing voice. Like, that's not actually that actionable or that interesting. So I'll maybe want to make this a little bit more interesting here. Maybe there's a dungeon beneath it, or maybe there's a particular creature there that can grant wishes, or, you know, not that exactly, but something like that. If you hear the song of the animals during a full moon, they actually sing of your heart's desire, right? Or something like that. So to make it more something the players would choose to use. Oh, hey, we actually need someone. We need something to direct us, so maybe we can go there. Okay, so that's one. That's a good one. Let me try again. Let me roll again. Come up with another one here. Okay, number 1. Patriarch's Shadow. Although Duke Thespian is a fair ruler, he has yet to live up to the standard set by his war hero father, Duke Archibald IV. Even at his 60 years of age, his people await an action or crisis that will define his legacy. That's not really actionable. That's a cool rumor, and it's nice to know that about the dude, but I'm going to roll. I think I've already basically intimated that idea to the players with my in-world document, my history of the realm, which mentioned that. So not terribly useful in this context. The Duke's Tourney also had that. Already had that one in the game too. So let's see. 18. The Crookhorn War. The Order of Saint Sedge has been mustering defensive fortifications near Prigwort, meaning war against the Crookhorns is imminent. Okay. Well, actually, the Order of Saint Sedge is really interesting. Now, are they the ones who? I think they're the ones who want to. Are they the undead hunters, or is that Saint Cygnus? I think Saint Sedge is the chaos order, whereas Saint Cygnus is anti-undead. Hey, Matthew, welcome. Right now, as I said, trying to come up with some rumors here, actionable rumors that the players can, that will give them sort of choices. Oh yeah, TDM, that's a really good idea. The belief tables. Wow, okay, yes. I forgot about those entirely. I completely forgot about those. That is a great point. I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to mark that and write that down here. Belief tables, because I don't want to forget about that. Oh, of course, my pen's dead. Wow. It works all day and then it dies right now. That's kind of typical. Oh, well. Let me get another one. Well, fortunately, I have a couple right here. All right. So, beliefs from the kindred tables. Okay, that is awesome, man. I completely forgot about those. Thank you for that suggestion. That's awesome. Okay, so the Order of Saint Sedge. I forget. They're the anti-chaos sorcerers, right? I can find that, I think, in the player's book where it talks about the religious orders. Or about the religion, is that right? Florentine church, practices, holy symbols, cosmology, membership, relationships, no. No, it's not in here. It's in the campaign book, I think. Let me see. Sedge. Okay, there's 33 mentions of Saint Sedge. The Order of Saint Sedge. Here it is. Defenders of the Church, clerics who protect lands from invaders. Oh, okay. So Faxis is dark magic. The Order of Saint Faxis is anti-dark magic. The Order of Saint Sedge is just generic protection against invaders. And Cygnus is the Lich Wards. I'm definitely doing one with the Lich Wards. That's super cool. The Lich Wards. So there's going to be some active rumor there. Yeah, thank you, Bayor. 61 of the Player's Handbook. Let me see. Going all the way back to 61. Okay, there you're totally right there as well. The Order of Saint Sedge, Cygnus, and Faxis. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so something about the Lich Wards rather than the Order of Saint Sedge. I think they're fine, but I like the Faxis or Cygnus. The Lich Wards. Okay, awesome. So let me go back to the rumors. There we go. Okay, so I gotta go back to my. I have so many pages up. Something relating to the Order of Saint Cygnus, the Lich Wards. I'm thinking like the Lich Wards want the toe of Saint so and so, right? And a little birdie has told you that Saint so and so his relic was lost somewhere, something like that, right? So there's a little, just a generic quest that is out there that the party knows about that they can go do. So something about the Order of Saint Cygnus, anti-undead relic. Okay, so that'll work. That'll work for now. One more roll from the Brackenwald Keep table. Okay, there's 14 again. No, 14. Oh, those are the Wandering Friars. A group of 12 friars in black robes wander the woods to the northeast. Travelers avoid them, fearing their malicious fairy bandits. Yeah, I'm not so interested in that one. I think it's a cool random encounter, but it's not sort of like an adventure. I'm sure you could develop it into a cool one, but not right now. Let's see. Okay, 17. Den of Thieves. The Poppycock Inn is infamous for the low morals of its clientele, making the perfect place to meet rogues or mercenaries. Castle Brackenwald Thieves Guild isn't based out of the inn, but its members can be found there. Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, TDM, that's really cool. I love those lich dogs. They're really cool. Oh yeah, Matthew, that's a good one. They're looking for thieves. Yeah, they're looking for a thief who stole a relic. Okay, anti-undead relic stolen. Bounty on the thief. Maybe, and I'll come back to that. Maybe they know where the thief's hiding, or maybe the thief's a relative. As it turns out, the thief is your, ne'er-do-well cousin. That's really cool, Crow. Holy relics being used as mundane wind chimes. Animals whisper clues. That's so cool. I like that. I'm going to put that in my world. I don't know if I'm going to make that a hook or anything like that, but I'm making a note of that right now. Relics used as wind chimes. That sounds like a witch thing. That sounds like a hag thing, right? That she uses the bones of holy saints or the holy priests as her wind chimes. Any priest that she catches, she boils them down, takes their bones, makes the wind chimes out of them, and those tell her secrets on the wind. That's kind of creepy. I like that. Yeah, okay, so that's the Order's headquarters is High Hankel. Yeah, that makes sense. A lot of thief stuff there. Perfect. Okay, cool. So that's a good one. That's a really good one. See, man, you guys are the resource. This is why I love these, because you guys can give me these ideas. And I'm like, yes, I'm stealing them all. Okay. So relics made from bone, or relics made into wind chimes. Tell secrets. That's so creepy. And very, 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 very haggish, witchish. I like that. Tell secrets. Yeah, Crow. It's super cool. That's why if you guys remember that list, I kind of hope that they choose either number 2, which is all about Hag's Addle, or 8, which is all about the Barrow of the Bone Blackguards. I want one of those two. The others are cool. I think they're all fun, but I think those two are the ones I'm kind of most hoping for. Okay. So we had. Did I have 3 from that list, or was it just 2? Singing Spring, the Order of St. Cygnus, and something to do with the Den of Thieves. Actually, I think I'm going to blend that with number 2. So I'll roll one more time. Just one more time. 19. Healing Crystals. A couple days travel to the west is Fog Lake, surrounded by wondrous crystal caves. These underground chambers contain rusted crystals with remarkable curative properties. Okay. Well, actually, that works because of I put incandescent grottos there. So I could do healing crystals as one of them. Healing crystals out at Fog Lake. Incandescent grottos. Okay, cool. So that works. All right, I'm gonna go to Cobton on the Shiver. No, I don't need Cobb. I'm not gonna do anything up there for now. So we'll leave that one for now. Drag and the Shantywood Isle. Yeah, for sure. Drag and the Shantywood Isle. Let's see what we got there. Okay, 7. Madame Shantywood's Eternal Youth. Madame Shantywood procures her eternal youth by selling the souls of young men to unscrupulous fairies. False. Shantywood is neither eternally young nor in league with fairies. Okay, so let's see. Something to do with Madame Shantywood and secrets. Oh, I mean, easily there could be something in her manor that is needed by somebody, or wanted by somebody, right? The players could have there's something in there that somebody once gambled away, and people want it back. Someone wants it back. Yeah, that could work. Something there. I was about to say heist, but it would turn into a heist. Artifact hidden on Shantywood Isle. Yeah, which has appeared to age slower. Some old dude or some old woman wants the secret of Madame Shantywood's youth, and she swears it's this mirror that she has. And when she looks into the mirror, her reflection gets all of the age, and she doesn't. It's like a what would you say? It's like a picture of Dorian Gray sort of thing. Artifact, a mirror hidden on Shantywood Isle, and it's probably, is it real or not? I don't know. I don't think it's real. Maybe it is. Maybe Madame Shantywood is in fact eternally young. I kind of like that, actually. Do we see that anywhere else in Dolmenwood? I don't think we see that. The idea of this lady who's giving away, who's stealing the youth from other people. That's kind of a cool idea. Maybe people who win big or who lose big on Shantywood Isle. That's what it is. She lets you take a bet, and the people who lose go into her chambers or whatever and don't come out. And she's draining the youth from them or something, like an age vampire. Maybe Madame Shantywood is an age vampire. What is Madame Shantywood like? Let me go back to that. I don't remember the details of that a ton. So let's see, where is that? If I go to the table of contents, it would be a location, so it'd be Dreg. Yeah, 145. Chateau Shantywood. Here we go. Okay. Bewitching human woman approaching 50 with cascading raven locks and eyes of striking green. Dresses in antiquated style with black lace dress, layered petticoats, tightly strung corset, and heavily powdered face. As Lady of Shantywood Isle, a hereditary position passed from mother to daughter, she is the wealthy ruler of an independent micro-domain. Calculating, self-assured, as a taste for cruelty. I'm thinking of... oh, she has the weird mirror with the guy in it. That's what I was thinking, that there is... does she have a mirror? Yeah, she has a magic mirror granted access to a dusty shadow manse ruled by a spectral gentleman. Dude, I don't know. I think she's actually just a vampire. Yeah, no fun allowed. She's a vampire. Classic. I'm thinking like the Madame Bathory, you know, the lady who bathed in the blood of virgins. I don't mean she's actually doing that, but like in that vein, like the kind of um, draining the youth from others. No, that's her. Yeah, TDM, that's her. The she's in love with Mercian. Yeah, Mercian, who is two, both of the people. I don't know if I'm going to do that whole bit. Well, I could be. I don't see there's any reason not to do that bit. Um, she wants the painful death of Lord Merkin. Yeah, that makes sense too. Man, I'm liking this more and more. I think she's like an age vampire. Okay. So I'm gonna mark that down here. Madam Shantywood equals age vampire. So maybe that's the rumor. Somebody went into Shantywood Isle, took a big bet, went into the back room, and never came out. I don't know. Something like that. I'll come up with something there. But that artifact seems like it would be quite valuable to the witches or to anybody. So maybe the players hear about it, know about it, and that could be a quest in and of itself. Just simply, hey, that's probably very valuable. Because I know it's gold for XP. And I think I'm going to do something with like getting a very powerful magic item gold equivalent. So that's like a whole reason to level up right there. Okay, I like that. I actually really like that. Okay, jumping back to the... Wow, it took me a long time. Let me go back to the rumors. All right, let's do a couple more from Greg. Okay, 18. The Smokehouse Boggle. A kindly boggle is taken up residence in the cellars of the smokehouse, tidying the firewood and smoking racks if weird fishers leave them in disarray. False. Items in the clean are sometimes moved by the Ataclorn Cruithant, who lurks there. Yeah, Crow, that could work too, that she's drained the youth from some child or something like an old... Oh yeah, eating fairy food is a gamble in folklore. Yeah, that could work too. Let's see, Martin. I heard about that. The guy who is taking plasma infusions from his son, he wants to never die, or he wants to live to like 100 and 200 years old or something like that. Yeah, he's a creep. I mean, that's terrifying, right? That's like literally, it's draining the blood from your children. That's like this. I mean, I know he does it without like, cutting them open or something like that, but it's like this. That's like scary. that's legitimately scary. Talk about, preying on the youth. Okay, Smokehouse Boggle. Not so big on that one. I'm gonna roll again. The Mushroom Stone. An ancient mushroom-covered standing stone of great occult potency lies to the south of the ditchway. It is jealously guarded by a sorcerer who is a master of slimes and fungi. Oh, so that's one of the yeah, that's the Gallic Stone. Galloc Stone. That's the Andrim Aethagrim? Aethagrim? Yeah. And that deals with the daughter Polith. I could do that one. Yeah, and that could be an interesting one. But it's not drawing me. It's not dragging me in yet. So I'm going to roll one more time. Okay, got number 1. Fungal Manor. The reclusive Lady Mulbreck, in her grief at the loss of her husband, has let Bogwit Manor run to ruin. The place is now so blanketed by eerie fungus that it's difficult to find the entrance. Yeah. The Fungal Manor. The Fungal Manor. I mean, you could have a whole dungeon under the manor, right? I think, in fact, it talks about it being kind of like a winding maze beneath the manor. Yeah, the tunnels. Yeah, the saprophytic putrescence overtaking the manor flows from deep within the tunnels and cellars beneath. And then there's that creepy Lord Mulbreck who's imprisoned in the lowest depths. This is actually quite horrifying. Bogwit Manor is actually quite horrifying. Did you guys see that they I think it says here that as they wander around the house, they occasionally take bites out of each other? Yeah, the infected family members drift from moldy room to moldy room, nibbling on the decadent delicacies which grow from the walls and from one another's bodies. It's so creepy too. Bogwit Manor. Yeah, I mean, I could see doing some sort of adventure down there. I'll do a question mark right now with Bogwit Manor. Because you could definitely have a whole dungeon there. In fact, it reminds me of the Gloaming, that the manor house in the Gloaming. If you guys know that adventure from Shadowdark, or that setting from Shadowdark, it's the place beneath the earth, the gross. What would you call it? I forget what the name of that manor is, but it's all like fungus and molds and slimes and stuff. You could easily transpose that to this if you wanted to make a full dungeon out of this. Mushroom Granny from Darkwood. I can imagine it's horrifying. Okay. Yeah, it's Among Us. The fungus is Among Us. I'm thinking of Last of Us, actually. Okay. You could do something like those creepy ants that the Last of Us fungus is based on, right? Where the fungus infects their minds, the zombie ants from South America. Where the fungus gets into the brain of the ants. They climb to the highest thing and then they blow up, their head blows up, and the spores of the fungus spread to other ant colonies. You could do something like that with Bogwit Manor, right? Where the servants are like going around southern Dolmenwood and starting to get like infect other places. You could make that a whole thing. Like you could make it basically like a zombie apocalypse in Dolmenwood, except it's a mushroom zombie apocalypse stemming from Bogwit Manor. I don't think I'm going to do that, but you could. Yeah, the Granny Monster Hunter, which is just Granny from Little Red Riding Hood, right? She's just the her granddaughter was eaten by a wolf, and so she's like taken it upon herself to be a wolf hunter. The ghost werewolf. Yeah, and the giant spider puppeteer thing. Horrible. Yeah, in this you have the wrong uncles. That's basically what they are. You could tie the wrong uncle whole thing back to Bogwit Manor. Wrong uncles are just Bogwit Manor agents, basically, spreading that horrible disease. Okay. I don't think I'm going to do that for now. Okay, let's see. Nifward. Oh, the Nifward. Tower of Nif. The perplexing tower of the mad magician Nif Nimbly stands beside the Haymeth in the woods to the south. Nif guards magical doorways to Nif guards magical doorways to fairy and many other wizard realms, which he allows some to use. That's a great one, because it says partially true. No doors to fairy are to be found in the tower. I don't know. I wonder if you could just put different portals to different parts of Dolmenwood in the tower. In other words, it's a great place for the players to go to if they want to travel somewhere quickly, because they go to Nifward. They go to the tower, they find the right floor, and they can basically travel to anywhere in Dolmenwood. To any stone ring, or maybe there's a few places. It's like a fast travel location. You can't come back quickly, but you can travel out quickly. I like that a lot, because then again, that's actionable. The players can use that knowledge. And they can say, well, we can just go to Nifward and fight our way through the tower and get to the portal to the right part of the wood that we want to go to. That's cool. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Fast travel. Nifward Tower. Fast travel. And I think you're exactly right, Bayor. Fleshing it out would be super fun. There's a ton of cool stuff there. Or at least there could be. Okay. Yeah. Okay, awesome. So that's three. That's three for this region. Dragon the Shantywood Isle. Do I want to do any more? No, I think there's other, like if the players come here and start asking around, then I can just roll on these tables for them. But those are the three that I'm going to give them to start, or that they can get. Fort Volgar. I like Fort Volgar too, so I'm going to roll on this as well. Oh, that's true. Yeah, TDM. But the idea is, right, you'd have to go to the tower to travel. And it wouldn't be anywhere. It would literally be like a set location, right? There's like a few set locations around Dolmenwood, but they're scattered around so that, you go to the right floor and you can get to that set location. So you'd come out, the map of Dolmenwood, right? You could set it so that like, let's see, where would it be? Like, Matthew, I was thinking about that. I have that puzzle tower. It's just called the Tower, I think. I reviewed it on the channel. That would be perfect for Nif Tower. Yeah, and then you have like monster fights every few floors or a couple floors, and you have weird things going on too. Yeah, I think that'd be great. So the Falls of, or Nifward's right here. You could have like one of them be the ruins of Hogland Spire, because Hogland Spire there's like a ruined town around it, ruined city. you could put it right out here somewhere so that there's like a warp to Hoglin Spire, and you could do another one to oh man, you'd have to do one to like the Court of the Nagalord. Or like over here, like near Saint Faxus. That way they could just warp right here and be in this horrible region. Not that they'd ever want to do that, but they could. Yeah, exactly, Bayor. I think that'd be super cool. And like, yeah, you walk to the picture, you walk through the picture, and you're there. And you could do one out here. Oh, the Spectral Manse. Yeah, you could put it out here in the Spectral Manse. That's a good place for it to connect to. The Boggin's Lamp, that little inn, right? That would make sense. Why there would be a place you could go to there. I think that'd be cool. Yeah, there's a whole bunch you could do. Something down here, maybe Devil's Goat Glade. Yeah. That seems like a good number to me, right? So one in the southwest, one in the west, one in the northwest, one sort of in the center, one in the northeast, and then just one down in Nifward. So it doesn't teleport you anywhere. You could add more if you wanted, but it teleports you to certain set locations. Not yet, TDM. I want to do some magic items too. And like the location of some magic items. Not that they need to, yeah, exactly. Like, hey, if you want this sort of magic item, then you can maybe go get it. But let me do a couple Fort Volga rumors first, because I want to have a list of like, well, actually, I want a good number. Because I want to use this for a lot of different players who play here. My campaign for sure, but others as well. And I can sort of, hack them down as I need. So let's do a couple from Fort Volga. Let's see, number 19, the Toll Bridge. Kirkhorn soldiers have blockaded a bridge partway up. That's pretty good. Let's see. I'm going to roll a couple more times. Let's see what we got. I rolled 19 again. 16. Chalk Column. Fort Road passes by the southern side of Prigmarin Hill, which is topped by a 20-foot column. Carving your name into the chalk can lift any curse, and hundreds of names already adorn the column. That's true, but it lacks the full context of the column's powers. That's true. Of course, by carving your name into the chalk column, you do get rid of a curse, but you also, if I remember correctly, you also take on you pledge your soul to Ambule. Yeah. So that's a pretty creepy one. But technically, if the players get cursed in a horrible way, they might pick this. Not that they would know the consequences of it. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I'm gonna roll one more time. 14. The Moaning Sphere, south of Horblight Keep. An enormous granite sphere sits atop a flat. Oh yeah, that's that one. Okay. That's the false. That's the false Summerstone. Or not Summerstone, but one of the false dolmens. Well, maybe I don't need one of these after all. The cheese sacks. Those were so weird. That horrible bloated creature out in the west. The water dragon, the Horblight Keep. I mean, honestly, I really wish Horblight Keep were detailed, because I would put rumors there. But it's just not, and it would take a lot of work to make it cool in a way that it deserves to be cool. Horblight Keep should be awesome. Oh, the Missing Bard, Bayor. That's a good one. A letter recently arrived from Prigwort's Madrid Hideball, asking after her lover, the bard, Garrigu Thorncripe. He was last seen heading westward from Volga several months ago. He must have either abandoned Madrid for another lover or perished. Yeah, that could be an interesting one. Maybe he has like, I mean, this would be perfect if anyone picked that Woodgrew background, where they're trying to get all the songs of the Woodgrew, because this bard could be like a guy who knows some rare Woodgrew song. But regardless, he could be, yeah, Missing Bard. I like that. Near Fort Volga. I'm just going to put that for now. That's a good one to develop. Okay. I haven't kept up with Gavin on socials. Like, has he said he's doing any more content for Dolmenwood, like adventures or something? Yeah, he has. So actually, in this book, I shouldn't say he has outside of this book, but in this book, he mentions it. When you look at Horblight Keep, it says, the keep itself. Yeah, the contents of the keep are beyond the scope of this book, but may be elaborated in a future publication or by the referee. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and that's perfect. He wants to go to the Lady of Spring Unending. That's a good continuation of that. And that would actually, Lady of Spring Unending. Where is she? She's in the northwest of Dolmenwood. She's out. Let's see. Get to her little. Not Abyssinia. Andromethea? No, she's not Andromethea. Lady of Spring Unending. Here she is. 402. Yeah, 402. Oh, her palace is awesome. Yes. She's got those spectral hounds, too. The Lady of Spring Unending. That's a great, creepy fairy palace. Yeah, 402. So I'm going to mark that as well. Some connection to 402. What hex was the one where he just tells us to drop any mega dungeon we want? Well, the one he does say Barrow Maze fits in the one, and then Horblight Keep is what I was thinking of. That's where he says, it's a huge castle, so add what you want. As far as I know, that's the one he mentions there. Yeah, exactly. No fun. There could be a Winter's Daughter or Abbey of St. Cloud style adventure for practically every hex in this world. Exactly. I mean, you could have any kind of, first of all, barrow that connects to another dimension or thing that goes down into the earth anywhere, right? You could just, again, if you look at my map, the density of adventures is not that high, right? These are 6 mile hexes, and so there's often one thing like this one, Maidenhead Priory. It says it's at the very north of this hex, and there's nothing else in the whole hex. So that's just tons of miles of empty forest. You could just drop, like right here, drop a little adventure, right? I mean, you could do anything. Yeah, that's what I was saying in my other video, TDM, when I was adding in these extra adventures, the one I deleted from YouTube because it was just terrible with the delay. But Chateau Malival, I think I'm going to do Castles in Tillin for it. I'm going to put that over here. But yeah, there's tons of basically empty hexes. This one is empty of any adventure location. That's the one with just the eyeball-eating storks, basically. There's a handful of hexes that are basically empty. So the Shrine of St. Quister is the only thing out here. Again, there's just tons of places to put in big adventures. All right, cool. So Lady of Spring Unending. I should just actually just do this. And then go back to rumors. All right, so cool. We have Missing Bard, some connection to 402. Now, I do want to do some magic items. I think that's a really cool idea. I'm going to do just High Hankel, 2 in High Hankel. And then I think 1 in Lanxhorn. I'm not going to do Meager's Reach. I'm not going to do Odd. I'm not going to do Orb Swallow or Prigwort. Because I don't really want them to start in Prigwort. I don't think. Rumors of Woodcutter's Encampment. Well, no. Okay. Just a couple more. So 4 for High Hankel. The orange. Oh, that's just the rumor about the love affair of the people in the town. Not really. I mean, sure, there's some action there, actionable quest there. But let's see. The Animal Orchestra. That's cool. Again, not quite what I'm thinking. Hold another 17. 10. Dancing Shadows. Shadows dance around a great sandstone monolith in a field of thistles to the east. If you give your shadow leave to join the dance, you become immortal. No one without a shadow can die. Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah. Dancing Shadows in 802. 802. Stuff like, you can ask the shadows any one question or something like that, right? That's the idea that I'm working for. Give the players tools, rumors in the world that are tools that they can choose to use if they'd like, rather than a quest that they have to do. Things like that. Yeah, that's one of them. Okay, I'm working on the ever so classic adventure of gnomes. A gnome's gem mine in a mountain is actually the inside of a giant fairy tale adventure. Yeah, that's awesome. Um, that's really cool. No fun. All right, one in high ankle. Well, let's do one in Langshorn. 10. Milk or mice. If you travel south, be sure to take a tribute of milk or mice to King Puskin. Could be cool. Yeah, Matthew. Tiny Fables. Oh my gosh. Okay, there we go. Tiny Fables. Yes. That's so good. That's so good. That'd be great, TDM. Yeah. I mean, we need more good adventures out there. I'm a big fan of people publishing more adventures, for sure. Okay, let's see. So, Langshorn. I think I rolled a 10. Yeah, I rolled a 10. Oh, that's Milk or Mice. Okay. 7. Magical Bladesmith. Oh, the Bladesmith. The Bladesmith Jormy practices magical smithcraft. Although that's in my general rumors table, so I'm not going to do that one because that's already in there. They already know that there's the best bladesmith in all of Dolmenwood is in Langshorn. Sunken Langstone. The ruins of the cursed town of Langston lie submerged in the sludge-rimmed pool along the western road. That's true. Langstone. Yeah, Langston. Langston. Rumor. Some item or artifact drowned in Langston. Next to the hand, of course. Or maybe the hand itself. What's his name? The false saint. Whatever his name is. And or other sunken artifacts. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. All right, now, what the heck? I'll do one in Prigwort and then one in Woodcutter's Encampment. Okay, 20 for Prigwort. Witch Hunters. The garrison being constructed on the edge of town will house the Legion of the Order of St. Faxus. Okay, that's back to that one, who will plan to eradicate all the witches in the region. Yeah, exactly there. That's what I was thinking of, the magic hand. The gross hand there. 9. Lost Worms Horde. Ooh. The worm Chazabrith laired in the woods to the south until it was slain by the noble Sir Windless, the Laughing Knight. The body of the monster was never found, its bones. That's a good one. Yeah, the Lost Worms Horde. The Lost Worms Horde. Chazabrith. Is that how you spell it? I forget how to spell it. Oh, it's an I. Chazabrith, south of Prigwort. Yeah, that's a great one, because that's just like, hey, there's just a hoard of treasure out there in the jungle, or out there in the forest. Go get it, you know? That's an easy one. Okay. And then one in the Woodcutter's Encampment, and then I'm going to do magic items. Chieftain's Manse. The Woodcutter's Chieftain Jolly Oistis Pollard lives in a mansion to the east of the encampment. He isn't one for visitors, however, and has grown increasingly sedate and withdrawn over the years. That's true, and there's that weird encounter in his manor. Do you guys remember that one? It's so bizarre. After dinner, as the PCs prepare to retire, the air shimmers and a snickering cluster of D6+4 astral leapers appear. Pollard looks on in an indifferent trance as the leapers throw dinner scraps and cutlery at the party. And the astral leapers are transparent yellow gremlins with spherical bodies, insect legs, brushes for fingertips, and heads for feet. It's like, what the heck is going on here, man? These extraplanar creatures are drawn to Furnival's house by Pollard's frequent out-of-body Azoth trips. Pollard and his servants deny their existence, but have all witnessed them wreaking havoc. Leapers fight only if threatened or hindered in their mischief-making. They sound fairy, but they're not. They're monstrosities from other dimensions. It's such a weird encounter. I was reading through and I was like, okay. Wait, what? That came out of nowhere. But I think the Furnival house could have something interesting in it. I mean, it does have something interesting in it. It has the Mournblade. So maybe that's it. The players know that the Mournblade is there. Yeah, Mournblade in Furnival house. Mournblade in Furnival. Is that how you spell it? I have no idea. Ferned double D. Bull. Yeah. DDM. It's just a bizarre encounter, man. I don't know what to make of it at all. I'm like, why would you throw that in there? I mean, I guess it makes sense, but nah, I'll take your word for it. You don't have to tell me twice. I am a teetotaler when it comes to all that sort of stuff. So, yeah. Okay, let me see. What else do we have here in terms of books? Let's do magic. Let's do magic items. I love this table, by the way. All the gems, gem value, gem type, art objects, and their various values and provenance and all that. I love this. Love, 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 love this stuff. Okay, magic items. There's a d20. I could just roll a d20. Yeah, let's roll a d20. See what I get. Amulets. 6. Amulet of Refraction. Once a day, the wearer can cause d4 illusory images of themselves to appear. The mirror images look and behave exactly as the wearer, remaining within 3 feet. The wearer's voice and any spells they cast emanate randomly from an... Oh, so it's just... okay, it's a project image. It's a... what do you call it? What do you call this? Mirror image. The spell mirror image. An amulet of refraction. I'm going to take this and I'm going to run with it. It's an amulet of refraction, but every time you cast it, each of the mirror images is different. So, I mean, you cast, there are 3 mirror images that appear, but each of them are different than you are. And then when it ends, there's a chance that you're not the person that stays. That there's a chance that one of your reflections takes your place. And that happened to some wizard or somebody who got it. Does that make sense what I'm saying there? So you split out into these 3 different refractions. And then when the spell ends, there's no guarantee that you're the one that gets to stay. You're basically splitting yourself into 4 parts. And then only one of them stays. The other 3 vanish. And it might be you, or it might be some weird reflection of you that's not really you. And it has different qualities and quirks and personality, and maybe it's a different thing. Yeah, maybe they're like different history, or maybe they're from like they're from a different dimension, or from fairy, or I don't know what. Yeah, it's like an alignment shift. And so this is a rumor out there, right? So it's like they're different parts of their psyche, right? So it's like this is your id or your ego or your vice, right? Your vices get split or something. And so you're yeah, so there's this other person who was super nice and now they're crazy, or this person who is whatever it is. So it's a really cool artifact, but it's a dangerous one because it gives you this power, this refraction, which is cool. But then it splits you. Yeah. And you cast no reflection while you're wearing it because your reflections have broken. Yeah, basically, so it puts you into these mirror worlds, or into the mirror world. And there's no guarantee that it's you or the mirror who comes out. It's like, what's that movie? The Prestige. Yeah, it's like The Prestige. Yeah, exactly, Bayor. So I'm going to do that. Amulet of Refraction that breaks the wearer into different versions of themselves. It should be themselves. And when the spell ends, there's no guarantee. That's not how you spell guarantee. That the it's them who stays. Something like that. I don't know. Get the idea. So in other words, the players hear this rumor about this amulet that somebody has, but there's this ability that it has. So it's a useful ability that they might want. But then they also hear this rumor about its curse, which is that it kind of fractures you and breaks you. And where does the other person go, right? Do they go into the mirror world? Are they trapped there? Do they not recognize that they haven't? Is it just a simple alignment shift? You change, or is it really a different person? Those are all questions that maybe the players don't know. Maybe I don't know yet. But I just love that idea. Okay, so this is a great idea. Nightmares, water and metal. That's where they jump from. Oh, that's interesting too, TDM. Yeah, different versions of themselves. Now, I like the fact, so I like that it's mirrors because I think that reminds me of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, and I like that a lot, where there's that mirror realm you can travel through. And I like that you cast no reflection while wearing it. But I could easily see that, like you don't cast any reflection in water or something. Yeah, like a self-made doppelganger, exactly, Crow. That's really cool. I'm gonna like that. Self-made doppelganger. Doppelganger. There we go. Okay, cool. Okay. All right, so that was there. I'm gonna roll on. Is there preset magic armor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. There's 21 types of magic armor. With then some anointing, or some oddities as well. Let me roll on this. Yeah, Susan. Maybe they get trapped in the mirror of Madame Shantywood. You know, if you were here earlier for the whole Shantywood Isle thing, that could be, man, that could be cool. Maybe that amulet is the whole mechanism. Maybe that's the mechanism by which their soul gets trapped and she drains them or something like that. Yeah, Beora, depressed noble herd. That's so cool. That's so cool. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to make a question mark there about Madame Shantywood. Madame Shantywood? Okay, cool. All right, so special powers. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, you're right. There's a little 3d12. Yeah, d3, d12. That's how I'm gonna roll. Okay, so first we'll do our d3. For, you know, 1, 2, or 1 is arcane, 2 is fairy, 3 is holy. Okay, so we have fairy, and I rolled a 5. We've got frost resistance. Ooh, frost resisting armor. Okay, so frost resisting armor. I'm going to write that down really quick, and then I'm going to roll an oddity for it, and then we're going to come up with a story for it. Frost-resisting armor. And then we're going to roll that again. And we get a 1 and a 6. So that's arcane. That's missile attraction. Ooh, missile attraction. Interesting. Although I guess, should I keep? No, there's no reason to keep the same type. Yeah. So it's frost resisting, but missile attraction. Okay. Now, I actually don't think I'm going to do missile attraction. I think I'm going to do flame attraction. Fire attraction. Because, I don't know, I have this idea of this armor that it just sucks the heat out of things. Why is it frost resistance? I'm not sure. But frost doesn't do any harm to it. Or at least it does less harm to it. But it attracts fire. Heat. Yeah, so it's an anti-fairy. It's an anti-fairy set of armor. Or something like that. I don't know. Missile attraction? Fire attraction? You have a torch near it. It's going to make the torch go out. Right? Or it's going to, like, suck the fire out of the torch. And you're going to take a little damage. You go into a dungeon, someone casts a firebolt or a fire spell or a fireball, heaven forbid. Yeah, what does it do to torches? I think it makes torches go out, or at least has a chance of having the flame from the torch leap at you and make it go out. So something like that. So the question is why? Does it have the soul of a Droon in it? An ancient Droon? Because the Droon like trapping souls, right? They are always trapping souls. So what if it's Droon armor? What if it's like a set of anti-fairy, Cold Prince armor? And it's got a soul of a Droon in it, and he's frozen in there, and so he draws all the flame to himself. And maybe you can like talk to him and convince him not to do that, but he's not going to be very happy about that. I don't know, something like that. I don't know. I mean, I'll put down a note there. Droon soul ? I like this one. I do like the other one better, the fractured mind, but I think this is kind of a cool magic item. Frost resisting and fire attracting armor. Yeah, cold heart. Oh, that's so good, Crow. Cold heart. The cold heart. Frost resisting fire attracting armor. A lost soul that needs warmth? Question mark? Something like that. Oops. Oh no. That's so cool. Draws even torch fire into it. So you can't just use it ubiquitously, right? Unless you somehow maybe talk to the heart or give the heart heat or something like that. The cold heart. A cursed elf knight. The elf failed. The frost king forever haunted by fire. Oh, that's also good. Cursed. Well, so I don't think elves have souls in my world. Fairies have souls. So I don't know if elves or fae can get trapped. So maybe it was an enemy of the Frost King. Yeah, it could be an elf. Well, maybe a cursed elf knight. Yeah, Cold Prince. That's right. Yeah, yeah. Google translates. Super fun. Cursed elf knight who failed the Cold Prince. Oh yeah, connected to banshees. Banshees? Maybe it's hidden with maybe it's protected by banshees. Again, like what we want here is these are items that the players can hear about somewhere in the world. And they're like, ooh, I have a rumor of where this magic item is. Do we want it? Well, that's up to the players if they want to go search for it. But if they're like, hey, we're about to go fight a whole bunch of frost, well, I happen to know. Yeah, a half elf. Ooh, man, you could tie this. You could tie this. You could tie this pretty easily into like you could just flip it. It's a fire resisting, frost attracting armor, and it could be the soul of Sir Chide. I mean, I've already run Winter's Daughter, but you could easily make that like, you know, he was so furious at his daughter having betrayed him that he killed Sir Chide and trapped his soul in this you know, horrible armor. That could be cool, but I'm not going to do that for this one. Put it this way. Okay, well that's super cool. I can't wait to come back to that one. Okay, so that's good magic armor. Let's do a yeah, it's pretty evil there, TDM. That's pretty evil. I mean, maybe you could free him, right? Maybe it wouldn't be hopeless. But you could free him or something like that. All right, balms and oils. Let's see what we got here for the balms and oils. 13. The ointment of weightlessness. Okay, I'm already in. I'm already in, right? The oil of weightlessness. That's so good. Okay, a thick, slippery balm of scintillating pearly hue. Smells of fresh rain. Effect. Renders a creature, small or medium, or object with 5,000 coins of weight utterly weightless for d6 plus 6 turns. An affected creature can will itself to move vertically through the air up to 20 feet per round. That's so good. And I know that the idea here is it's just, you know, levitate the spell. But it's so much more flavorful calling it the ointment of weightlessness as opposed to calling it a potion of levitate, right? Potion of levitate sounds generic. The ointment of weightlessness sounds awesome, especially with that description. But I think we got to make it more fun, right? We got to give it a twist, make this more interesting. It's not simply an ointment of weightlessness. This is going to do something else too. Or maybe it's made a special way. How do you make ointment of weightlessness? What do you need to make it? Is it fungus? Are there like anti-gravity fungi that are only held down by their stalks and you cut the stalk and it just floats up into oblivion? Is it phlogiston? You guys know what phlogiston is? Phlogiston was this medieval, sort of post-medieval theory about why things got, certain things got heavier when you burned them. Certain materials seem to get heavier when you burn them. And they thought that, well, burning seems to release stuff, so maybe you're releasing anti-gravity. And so the scientists of the era called it phlogiston. And they said, well, when you burn it, you're letting the phlogiston out, and that's why a thing gets heavier. That was a real theory for a while in the scientific world, the phlogiston theory. Yeah, TDM, maybe the birds and other flying creatures hate you. In the Crystal Grotto, there are weightless plant things. Yeah, Bayor, you mean in I'm thinking of the Crystal Grotto. You mean in incandescent grottos, or in the actual Crystal Grotto here? in Dolmenwood. Because if it's the latter, then that's awesome. I can just put that right in. Because then you can just say, oh yeah, you know that you can make this ointment into, you know, or you can make this stuff into ointments of levitate or ointments of weightlessness. And that's like, okay, cool. We know that's a great tool in our toolkit. Also, yeah, it drips from the user. It drips something from the user, like droplets that cause another effect. I love that too. Okay, so ointment. Ointment of weightlessness. Made from the weightless plants of the Crystal Grotto. Marburg's Jam. Look at that now. Went back a little bit. Marburg's Jam. That's in here, right? Rare fungi? Yeah, here it is. Yeah, weightless. It's in 1601, The Slumbering Giant. Oh, that's where it is. Yeah, Marburg's Jam. So here it only shows that it's his toe cheese, which is nasty. But I'm going to put that. It's okay, so Marburg's Jam. Okay, cool. So it's just a thing in the world. Made from Marburg's Jam. Because we already have it in the world. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. Marburg's Jam. Can be found between the toes of giants and somewhere else. So it's giants and somewhere else. Where else would it grow? This fungus. Yeah, exactly. It's literally toe cheese. Just nasty. Where else would it grow? So I want them to have options. So ointment of weightlessness is made from Marburg's Jam, which can be found. Between the toes of giants and well, you could just say certainly and certain cheese creatures. Right, that would be a reason to go both east and west, right? The cheese monster in Western Dolmenwood and the cheese dude out east. Which can be found naturally between the toes of giants. Yeah, exactly, TDM. You have floating floating animals and things like that in the anti-text. And as a byproduct of certain cheese-based alchemical reactions. I don't know, something like that. Okay. So anyway, that's a thing the players can know about. Yeah, mosslings can certainly grow it for sure. Okay. Okay, cool. So that's a weird one. Let's do magic crystals. D20. I've been going for about an hour. I can certainly go for a bit longer. Yeah, Bayor. Oh, that's a great idea. Right? There's some huge creature that doesn't normally fly, but people are seeing it fly around, and it's like, why is this thing flying? And it's because it's eating a natural source of Marburg's Jam. And it's kind of adapted to it now. Flying owlbears. How about that? That's horrifying. How are these owlbears flying? Owlbears don't fly. Well, these ones do. They've been munching on Marburg's Jam, and it helps them hunt, because then they can swoop and devour their prey from above. That's quite terrifying. All right, gonna roll. 7. What do we got? We got an Ion Stone of Fortitude. Okay, that's... I was about to dismiss it, but we're not going to dismiss it. We're going to see what we can do with this. A pink rhomboid that increases the character's constitution score by 1. That's very simple. The Ion Stones are very, very simple. So, how do we make the Ion Stone interesting? Especially the Ion Stone of Fortitude. Well, maybe it's really big. Or maybe it does something else. That's a hard one. I like ion stones. I think they're cool, and they circle around you in a cool way. That's fun. But it's also hard to think of a way where, oh, that's cool. They make you lose memories. That's way cooler. Yeah. Okay, so what does it say about this, by the way, up here? Okay. Small 1 to 2 inch floating crystals of different shapes and hues, each granting a different magical boon. Ion stones are said to originate in a distant otherworldly dimension known to magicians as Ion. While Ion stones are especially coveted by magicians, they can be used by all characters. A stone's power is activated when it is held, then released beside the character's head, whereupon it takes up a circling orbit around the head. Stones may be grasped or netted to separate them from their owner. The character may grasp an orbiting stone to store it, temporarily deactivating its power. Okay. Well, I like the idea of them losing memories, but why would they be there? Maybe, I don't know. Let's see. You could pretty easily tie ion stones to, again, the idea of the crystals, especially down in the incandescent grottos. In fact, you could put a bunch of stuff together. If you guys remember that at the bottom of the incandescent grottos, there's a dream dragon. You could have ion stones be like calcified dreams. They're like crystallized dreams. Maybe that's what House Gullifer makes. Maybe House Gullifer makes crystallized dreams. And they do different things. It seems like they wouldn't probably have these effects, though. That doesn't really fit. It's cool, but it doesn't really fit. It wouldn't. Calcified, crystallized dreams doesn't feel like it would boost your stats. It seems like it would have a different effect. So they're gonna pivot from that idea. Yeah, I think you would probably want to be able to get a save against the effect. So I don't know what they're from. So Bayor, you say that they're you lose memories. I don't know what they're actually originally from. So yeah, if the character fails to save, you smack the player in the back of the head to facilitate the memory loss. I like that you said they're the player. Smack the player in the back of the head. The Dream Dragon has a few orbiting his head, and the players could try to steal them. Yeah, that's certainly good down there. They may be made from the bones of those that died dreaming. That's really cool. I like that. Crow Hollow, the user forgets to do something that's normally done, washing, brushing teeth, cutting hair, etc. That could be fun too. That feels very fairy. Ooh, okay. How about this? A goblin merchant, is giving away ion stones. And in exchange for them, he's buying memories. Memories of things like that. So he's taking he's taking stuff from you. Yeah. There's a goblin market where you can buy wondrous stones that increase your natural ability. The cost for those stones is different for every person. Yeah. Goblin market. That's what I'm doing. I like that. And it connects the idea of the memory there. So, a goblin selling ion stones. I don't think I'm going to call them ion stones, though. We'll call them fairy stones. For now. I don't know what else we're going to call them. Fairy stones. In exchange, he asks for very individual things. Often certain kinds of memory. Yeah, something like that. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. So I'll put ion stones here. Yeah, exactly. DDM. That's the sort of thing that a fairy would sell, right? It seems like the sort of thing that a goblin would sell. Hey, here are a bunch of rocks. They're not just any rocks. They'll make you special. You humans like being special, don't you? Well, these rocks will make you special. And all I ask is your X. Something. Your memory of something. And of course, for players, you make it special, right? You're like, oh yeah, for you, it's your memory of this spell, right? Or, oh, it's your memory of how to attack in the first round of combat. I don't know. how to seize the initiative. You can do those sorts of things. All you have to give me is your ability to seize the initiative. You always go last in initiative if you sell that, but you get the rock, right? Stuff like that. You get my point? I think that sort of stuff is fun. Giving players the ability to sell and buy stuff like that. Okay. Magic garments. Magic garments. Here we go. I think I'm going to do one for each of these magic items. Okay, what do we got? Number 12. The Helm of Realignment. Oh, man. Any of you guys ever read, yeah, exactly, a friar forgetting how to pray? That'd be crazy. Any of you guys ever read Order of the Stick? Whenever I ever come across a cursed item of like realignment or rearranging, I always think of Order of the Stick when they find the girdle of, it's a cursed girdle of what, gender change or something like that. That's really funny. And of course the bard goes and takes it. He's like, ooh, they're like, oh, it's cursed. It's kind of a useless item, and they throw it away. And the bard comes back and he's like, I'll grab that. Let's see. Magic garments. Helmet of realignment. That's a particular one. I'm going to roll again. I said I wasn't going to do that, but I'm kind of bored by realignment curse changes because we basically already have that, which with the fracturing of the mind, that sort of thing, the fracturing of the person. So I'm going to reroll. 2. The Belt of Hounds. Ooh. A broad leather belt emblazoned with portraits of 8 noble hounds, 1 per type of hound listed in the DPB. If a wearer lovingly strokes one of the hounds, it leaps from the belt, manifesting as a dog of the corresponding type. The hound serves the wearer for 24 hours before vanishing. Ooh, that's really, really good. Yeah, we'll do rings. Don't worry. We'll do rings, DDM. But I like this. What about like a thief who's using a bunch of dogs to like distract and to evade capture and like to attack people and stuff? He suddenly shows up, he's walking by himself, and then suddenly he's surrounded by a whole bunch of hounds that come out of nowhere, and these hounds are doing, maybe they're slightly intelligent. Ooh, maybe they're not good. Maybe they're evil. The Hounds of Hell. They're like, it's like the Hound of the Baskervilles. You can summon these hounds, but they're not good. They take, yes, they'll like serve you, and they're intelligent to a degree, but they're evil. Yeah, I like the dog belt too. That's really cool. Yeah, he did, Matthew. Sir Chai, they have the 2 hounds in his tomb that you have to figure out their names or else they attack you. The stone hounds. It's a great one. Although I have to admit, when I ran it, I was thinking of those 2 stone hounds. I was just thinking of the statues from Ghostbusters, the gatekeeper and the key or whatever. The 2 dogs. Oh, man, the Hounds of Hindenburg. Yes, Matthew, that's brilliant. It's the Belt of Hindenburg. The Belt of Hindenburg. And even if I don't run that adventure, that's a great reference. The Belt of Hindenburg. That is awesome. Oh, your players died to the hounds, TDM? Yeah, I can see they're tough. My players solved the riddle. They managed to find the names of the hounds. But they probably would have died, but they were clever about it, and they were careful, and they went through. They found the rumors, or they found the names. The Belt of Hindenburg summons the 8 dogs. That's so cool. That's so cool. Oh my gosh. Now, of course, this just makes me want to run the Hounds of Hindenburg. But hey, Swords and Stones. We're just coming up with cool like magic item hooks right now, and I'm digging it so far. I think we have, I don't know what you guys think, but I think these are awesome. The Amulet of Refraction is freaking cool. The Cold Heart, I actually really like that too. The Ointment of Weightlessness is like my least favorite, but it's also pretty cool, the idea there. And then the Goblin selling the Fairy Hounds, and then the Belt of Hindenburg. Those are awesome magic items. These are great. See, these are the kinds of magic items, by the way, that you want in your game. The Mornblade can be a +1 magic item. The Cold Heart can be a +1 armor. That's awesome, fine. But you don't just want +1 armor or a +1 sword. Like, that's so boring. Giving it like this, right? Coming up with a magic item this way and seeding it in your world. This is way better. Okay, so the Belt of Hindenburg summons the 8 dogs. I love that. Hey, Lil DM. Wow, there's a whole bunch of mages in here. TDM and Lil DM. More the merrier. Welcome, welcome. Okay, Belt of Hindenburg. Now, magic garments are all super cool, but I am only going to roll the one there. Yeah, Stone of Possession. That's a good one. Okay, magic instruments. Ooh, I love this. I love this. Let's see, magic instruments, 13. Oh, I guess I have to roll instrument type first. Okay, so we have a recorder. All right, so you have a recorder, and it's in a recorder. I rolled 2 13s in a row. A recorder of obscurement worth 10,000 gold pieces. Holy cow. So what is obscurement? Conjures a cloud of misty vapor around the musician. After the first round of playing, the vapor fills a 10-foot radius area. The radius expands by 5 foot per additional round of playing. That's super cool. The recorder of obscurement. Okay, so now we have to come up with what this does and what's the twist to it. Recorder of obscurement. What does the mist do? Is it mist of sleep? Is it simple enough? Does it make you go to sleep in the mist? Is it like the fog, or what's that movie? Is it the mist? Where with Aaron Eckhart, where whenever the clouds settle over the place, you're in that other dimension. Those creatures in it. But when the mist isn't present, you're not. I forget what that movie is called. I think it's called The Mist. Yeah, Swords and Stones. Yeah, I have a roll table. This is the roll table from Dolmenwood here. These ones. But I'm also totally down for suggestions beyond these. These are the tables I'm using to spark some inspiration. But I really like that idea. Okay, so we have the recorder of obscurement, the flute. I'm thinking of it as a flute. Okay, mist. Mist and shade, cloud and shadow. Yeah. Yeah, maybe it just connects you. Maybe as long as you're playing, you're technically present in a fairy realm. What do you guys think about that? As long as you're playing, you're technically in wherever the mist comes from. It makes that portion of the world to be in the realm of X, Y, and Z fairy lord. What fairy lord should it be? I like that idea. So yeah, and so basically it's reverse TDM. Instead of in my idea there, instead of having a random NPC show up, you are suddenly in the fairy world, or it reveals that you have always been in the fairy world, or how to put it. It's like a moving chunk of land. Oh, this is interesting. Whenever you play the flute, that mist spreads through, and it reveals that you're standing in the same part of the particular fairy realm. So you can always go to that one particular part of the fairy realm for as long as you're playing. And that means too, right, that you could use it to avoid capture or something like that. Yeah, Swords and Stones. So I'm thinking of it less in combat. You could certainly do it as a combat ability. But the longer you play, the more the bigger the area that you're standing in is revealed to be. And of course it's misty, so it's not super clear. Okay, but what do we have? There's the Blind King. There's the Cold Prince. Duke My Fleur. Let's look at the realms. That's what I'm looking for here. The realm. The Gloomhold, a vast lightless realm of perilous mountains, fathomless chasms, and smothering fogs. It could be the flute of the Blind King. Yeah, and you could store stuff there, right? It feels like an interdimensional space. But it's not. You're actually entering into the realm of Gloomgold. Yeah, Duke My Fleur's Road mentions mist. The Blind King has endless fogs. I like that idea, though, the Blind King, because he's not mentioned throughout the rest of the book. He's not in it. The Obsidian Fortress of Absalom. I love this. What should we call it? The Flute of Absalom? The recorder. The word recorder just sounds a little funny to me, so I wouldn't call it that. The Chimes of Absalom. Is it the chimes? Is it chimes? Are they bones? Bone chimes? Yeah, I really like that. The Chimes of Absalom. And as long as you're playing them, as long as you're kind of stroking them back and forth, as long as they're blowing in the breeze, they spread that mist from them. And they're hollowed, right? They're like bamboo. they're like the size of those bamboo wind chimes, because they're the bones of a really big creature from the realm of Gloomhold. I love that. I love that. Okay. So it's not the Recorder of Obscurement. They're the Chimes of Absalom. Bamboo chime sized. Or bamboo, yeah. Sized chimes that, when played, create a cold, thick fog that spreads and reveals the player to be in the plains of Gloomhold. I think that's super cool. Yeah, Swords and Stones. I think that's a great idea. While within there, you can commune with something. One of the fairies or one of the servants of the Blind King, or something like that. Can conjure or call upon a servant of the Blind King who knows many things. Yeah, exactly. TDM, that's great. That's terrifying, though, because Gloomhold, if you look at the description, it's horrifying, right? A terrible iron-crowned giant with gray sagging skin, hair stiff with frost and empty eye sockets. Though sightless, the Blind King senses the echoes of all that come to pass within his drear realm, Gloomhold. All the king's servants are blind, for his countenance brings eternal death. The Blind King has no contact whatsoever with Dolmenwood and mercilessly imprisons any mortals who trespass in his realm. So that's super cool and creepy and scary. The vast, lightless realm of perilous mountains, fathomless chasms, and smothering fogs. The fortress of Absalom. The Blind King rules from the obsidian fortress of Absalom, which stands at the summit of a great peak known as the Mountain of Whispers. The dungeons of Absalom. Mortals speak fearfully of the fortress's dungeons, whose darkness is so profound that it seeps into a mortal's mind, erasing all memory of light. That's so cool! Oh my gosh, okay. The Chimes of Absalom is one of my favorite magic items I've ever created. Boom. That's so awesome. You play these horrible things and it sounds like whispers as you're playing them, and there's this fog that grows out of them. And you can talk to maybe the Blind King himself, maybe his servants, but you can't see him because it's in the dark. You just know that there's this huge presence, this huge thing. It's like Lovecraftian almost, rather than fairy. I love that. Yeah, exactly, Bayor. Oh, that's so creepy. Okay, cool. Awesome. That is going in my world for sure. That is happening for sure. Okay, so that was magic instruments. Magic rings. Here we go, TDM. Magic rings, your favorite. Let's see. We got a D20. Let's see what we roll. 5. The Ring of Delusion. The wearer comes temporarily under the effect of another type of magic ring, but all effects vanish at a critical junction. That's determined by the referee. That's pretty silly. I might do 2 magic rings because I like that, but I also want to roll something that's a little bit more serious. I'm actually going to say that there's a... should it be a goblin? A boggin? A woodgrue? Something little and silly that thinks it has a very powerful ring. And it works for it because it's a ring of delusion, so it works for the creature. And so it's doing all of these ridiculous things with this powerful magic ring. But it turns out it's actually just a ring of delusion. So what should it be, though? Like a woodgrue, something fairy-ish, something silly. Lighthearted. Yeah, gnome. Could be just a simple gnome. Yeah. There are gnomes in Dolmenwood, right? Or are they just the woodgrue? I think woodgrue there, because the woodgrues, they're kind of lighthearted anyway. They're silly. They really like fire. Maybe he thinks it's a ring of like fireball, and he's going around like blowing stuff up. Woodgrue with a ring of delusions. Delusion. Okay, that's a good idea. It's a good one, but I want to roll again because I like the rings, and I want cooler rings than that. So what do we got? 17. A ring of vanishing. That's the one ring. Not really. Has the power once a day to teleport the wearer to a chosen location within 60 feet and to render them invisible for 2d6 rounds, along with all their gear. Attacking or casting a spell breaks the invisibility. That's awesome. Ring of vanishing. Cool. Okay. So ring of vanishing, but we got to make it cool. Because that is cool, but we've got to make it more interesting than that. Everybody likes magic rings. You want cool magic rings. So, ring of vanishing. Is it cursed? Does it cost something to get? Does it switch? Does the ring itself vanish? Or the ring itself remains wherever you were standing? So, right, so you use it, but then the ring drops to the ground. Let's see, Swords and Stones. Is the ring usable on a foe or friend other than using it on yourself? Yeah, maybe it's only usable on a friendly creature, not yourself. And then they take the ring with them. I don't know. I like the idea of magic items that have to be cleverly used. Right? So it's not just, hey, you can teleport, but it's like, okay, it's not just you teleporting. It teleports you, but then the ring drops, or someone else has to pick it up, or yeah, it can only be used on non-living things, or it takes one of your fingers every time you use it, right? One of your fingers remains behind. Like, again, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, there's just a little, like, stump. So you can only cast it 9-10 times. And there's a cost each time. That's a pretty gruesome one, though. That's a pretty dark one. I don't think I'll do that. But that would be interesting. There is a ring somewhere in Dolmenwood where it's a little portal to a different dimension. Do you guys remember that? Where when you put it on, the finger disappears because it's actually in a different dimension. It's a little gate to a different dimension. And you can't, it's pitch black. You can't really see anything. But if you put it on your finger can feel something on the other side. Yeah, like a ring of swap, essentially. Yeah, exactly, Crow. That's the idea there. I wonder if it's something like yeah, a ring of swap position. But you don't know who has the other ring. So you put it on, as long as someone else is wearing it, you will swap positions with them. But if they're on the other side of Dolmenwood, or they're under the lake, it's a dead body, and you swap places with it, well, suddenly there's a dead body where you were standing. I like that, the Ring of Vanishing. So it's not the Ring of Vanishing as described here, because this is only 60 feet, and you become invisible. So I'm sort of shifting. We've moved away from that. I like the idea of 2 rings, and they swap positions. And so you can find one of them, and you could even put it on if you wanted. Yeah, it's a ring of teleporting. The ring itself, yeah, a ring of teleportation and invisibility. The ring itself randomly teleports and becomes invisible. It's a useless magic item. That's funny. I like useless magic items sometimes, where you're like, oh, you found a magic item, and what does it do? It literally just teleports itself away and turns invisible sometimes. Oh, so it just goes away. Yeah, swap places with the Blind King. Unleash him in Dolmenwood, Swords and Stones. It's just the end of Dolmenwood. It's apocalyptic. I mean, you could do that. I don't think I would, but you could totally do that. Okay, so I'm gonna say the Rings of Vanishing, or the Rings of, what's a good word for swapping? The Rings of Bilocation. The Rings of Visitation or Replacement. Ring of replacement. Right? Because you could totally do this to, like, well, kidnap a king, or like, like you just slip the ring onto the finger of some, oh man, that's pretty good, right? Think of the implications. Think of the uses for this. Right? You get a prisoner or something, you put a ring on him, And then you go to somebody that you want to capture. And you say, I would like to give you this ring. And they put it on, and suddenly they swap positions. And then you have a bunch of people waiting around the person who was captured in the first place. And the person that you've just given the ring to appears there, and you pull the ring off their finger, and now you've captured them. So that's a really cool use of that ring. And I'm sure there are tons of others you could think of in combat and out of combat for players. That's the sort of stuff that I love. Magic items that do those. Rings of Twixt and Tween. Yeah, it's like trick or treat. I like that. Hither and yon. That's what they call? Is the hither and yon? Hither thither staff. That's what they call from the D&D movie. The hither thither staff. That's a good name, I have to say. Hither thither rings. I could just steal that. Yeah, the ring of hither and yon. Yeah, rings of hither and yon. That's a ring of hither and yon. That sounds very fairy tale-y and fairy-y. Rings of hither and yon. When put on, yeah, immediately swap positions with anyone else, with the wearer of the other ring, with the wearer of the sister ring. Yeah, there you go. That's awesome. That's super cool. Man, these magic items alone are like, yeah, worth the price of admission for me in Dolmenwood. This is the sort of stuff I love. Chimes of Absalom, the rings of Hither and Yon, the wood grew with the ring of delusion, the belt of Hindenburg, the goblin selling fairy fruits. These are awesome. These are great. I think these are all really cool rumors and things. All right, let's do a couple more. I'm still willing to go a little bit more. We haven't even done magic weapon yet, so we got to do a couple magic weapons. All right, first of all, weapon type. Let me get my D percentile here. This is a big one. What kind of weapon are we talking about? 83, a spear. Oh, I love spears. All right, yeah, have a good evening, Swords and Stones. Thanks for coming by, man. That was great. All right, 83, a spear. I love spears. Absolutely love spears. Okay, so we got a spear. Spear. Let's see, D6 for the kind of enchantment. 5. We're looking at holy. And let's see what kind of special powers it has. So it's a holy spear. We need a D12 here. 10. Avenger. Avenger spear. And then what does Avenger do? When the wielder is damaged in melee, they may instantly make a return attack with the weapon. Ooh, that's really good. But let me see what its oddity is. D8. 4. Lawful aligned. Okay, it's lawful. Strongly enchanted with a particular alignment. Creatures of the opposite alignment that touch the weapon suffer D6 damage. Okay, so it's a lawfully aligned Avenger spear. That seems pretty on the nose. A lawful Avenger spear. I'm just picturing a one-horned villain, Avenger. I never watched the D&D cartoon when I was a kid. It was before my time. But I've seen a few episodes, and Avenger does not look terribly intimidating to me. His one horn just doesn't do it. I think if he had both, he would look more intimidating, but there's the one horn. Doesn't work. Okay, so a lawful Avenger spear. That's a cool idea. Cool item there, but I want more. I want more. It's a holy spear. So this is definitely a blessed relic, a blessed weapon. The Spear of St. Cygnus. The Spear of St. Faxus. The Spear of St. Sedge. I think St. Sedge already has a weapon, doesn't he, in Dolmenwood? Isn't there a Sword of St. Sedge? I think that's a big artifact you can find. But I don't think St. Faxus or St. Cygnus have weapons. Yeah, TDM, something like that. I want to tie it into the Saints at Dolmenwood, though. Who's the Repentant? There's a saint that has the title Repentant. and he was a soldier, if I remember his backstory. I might be wrong about that. Yeah, maybe the I gotta look at prayers really quickly. Hold on. Here we go. So Saint Cygnus is silence. It could be a spear of silence. If it's the spear of Saint Cygnus, then it could literally be the abjuration of Cygnus is built into the spear. So you can cast it once per day, even if you're not a friar or a cleric. And if you are can clerics use spears in Dolmenwood? I know that in OSE they can't use stabbing weapons. They can only use blunted weapons. Is that true here? No, they can use longswords and shields. Okay, cool. They can. Okay, so they can use weapons. So what about the Spear of Saint Cygnus? Now, Cygnus is anti-undead, so maybe it should just be the Spear of Saint. Well, let me see. What else we have? So that would be silence if we did. Blessed weapon is Saint Sedge, but there's already the Sword of Saint Sedge. Circle of Protection is Saint Faxus. That's a really powerful spell. It's a rank 4 spell. So I think I'm gonna do the Spear of Saint Cygnus. Spear of Saint Cygnus. And it also should have something else. So it has its Venger, it's lawful, and yeah, so it can't do Arcane or Fairy, but it can do Holy. And this is Holy, so that works. It should do something else too. It should have another effect. Something against undead if it's really Cygnus. So what do we have here for Holy? Chaos Bane, Undead Bane. Maybe it's Undead Bane as well. That's a really powerful magic item, but then again, it's the spear of one of the most powerful of the saints, who has a whole. Let me check something really quick. I'm going to open up my Dolmenwood calendar because I have Saint Cygnus on there. Sorry, this is on the other screen for you guys. The lance of Saint Cygnus. That's what I'm going to do. It's not a spear, it's a lance. And lances are heavy weapons. Can clerics even use lances? They might not be able to. Now that I think about it. Yeah, it points to the closest undead creature, TTM. That's really, really cool. Okay, I'll do Spear of Saint Cygnus. I think that's cool. The Spear of Saint Cygnus. Lawful Venger, Holy Spear. I like that. Undead Bane. Which, I forget, what did that do? Bane. +4 damage against undead. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, so it's an Undead Bane. Oh, they can use lances. Okay, then I'm going to make it a lance. Because I like the lance of Saint Cygnus. I like that better. Undead Bane, and then can cast Silence once per day, or can cast Silence. Recharges when the wielder slays an intelligent undead creature, like a vampire or something that's intelligent, not a zombie or a skeleton, but something that actually has intelligence to it. So you can only cast Silence until you have laid the dead to rest, or maybe just slays an undead creature with the spear. Yeah, I'll just do that. That's cool. I like that a lot. I think that's a really cool magic item. Lawful Venger, Holy Spear. Okay. All right, another magic item. Another item here. Another sword. Another weapon. Got to roll over here. Okay. 38. 38. What do we have there? A longsword. Perfect. I like longswords. That's a fitting. We've got a fairy longsword. All right, I'm going to roll a d12 here. Got an 11. A vanishing. What is vanishing? Oh, man, vanishing. That's amazing. Cygnus is mercy. Yeah, Cygnus is silence, something like that. Cygnus, mercy, Cygnus is the mercy of Saint Cygnus. Yeah, that's cool. The mercy of Saint Cygnus. Okay. So, a vanishing fairy longsword. What's its oddity? 3. It is chaotic aligned. Well, we already did an alignment one. I'm going to roll again. 1. Aging. The wielder ages d6 years after each combat in which the weapon is used. That's so cool. That's a big cost for a very powerful item, which is that you can vanish once per day for d4 rounds and get +4 attack against foes that cannot detect invisibly. Yeah, that's really good. So vanishing, aging, longsword, fairy longsword. All right. Let's see. Got to think of a name for this. What's the deal with this sword? It makes you vanish. It makes you age. Only mortals should age. Well, that makes sense. Elves can't. Yeah, exactly. So with fairy PCs, aging doesn't matter. So that's great. Because it only makes mortals age. I'm going to go back to some player's book really quick. I'm going to go back to the elves. Here we go. I'm going to roll up something here. Desires. I'm going to roll on the desires table and see if that helps me out with this sword. 11. To understand mortal religion. How does that help me with this sword? Maybe it was made by a fairy knight who... Or it was made for a fairy knight. Ooh. Tied to King Pusskin. That's great, because he does vanish in and out. Yeah, you can make it a their wilder form. Yeah. That's like it's a Grimalkin sword. Yeah, this is the sword of the Grimalkin. The Cheshire sword. Is that what they call it? The Wilder sword. The Cheshire is not the right way. The sword of Cheshire. I like that. The Cheshire cat. Yeah, so a Grimalkin weapon. That's really cool. And I like the idea that it's from the early days of the Grimalkin when they were more fairy than mortal, because they've kind of become more mortal, right? They and the Breggles, not the Breggles, excuse me, the Woodgrews. Sojourn to a realm to contemplate for years, then return. I mean, that's what the sword makes you do. Is that how you age? That you have vague memories of having been in fairy. So when you use it, you vanish, you fight, but the reason you vanished is that for those rounds you've actually been elsewhere. You've been in King Pusskin's realm. Is there a particular realm for King Pusskin? I think there is. Yeah, Ulfhammer. Oh, hey, by the way, Ulfhammer. Is there a way to get your years back? Yeah, I would imagine with like a reverse, an anti-curse, right? So like you could go to the chalk stone and write your name on it, and it would take your years off. Yeah, we have 2 of these rumors that relate to aging, but that's fine. That's cool. That's part of the fairy thing. Grimalkin weapon, that sends mortals to... Yeah, that's fairy as heck. Totally. That's totally true, TDM. He adds years to his wine. He can't age wine in a timeless realm. Or he likes nice aged milk. No, that's actually not what he does. He does. King Pushkin does like milk. Yeah, totally. Yeah, Beor, they're like, oh, you're the one who fought at the Battle of so and so alongside King Pushkin, and you're like, wait, what? No, that's not true. I wasn't there. Oh, I see. You were thinking of some kind of quest. Yeah, you could certainly do that too. Maybe, but you know, that's one thing is I like to provide when I do this sort of thing. I like to provide multiple options. So if players are like, I don't want to write my name on the chalk column without knowing what it does. Why does it take away curses? I'm not going to do that. Well, great. Then there are other quests they could do. But the very like way of trying to find a way to remove curses is a quest. I don't know. Does that make sense? That's kind of how I think of quests. Like, oh, if we have a curse, how are we going to get rid of it? Okay, well, let's figure it out. We go to an NPC in High Hankel, and he tells us, oh, well, you know, you should do some research. And oh, I can do some research for you. Yeah, there's the witch out in the bog. She can remove curses. Some people say that there's this column that if you know, the worst curses have been removed from it, but there's warning attached to that, right? And so the players can kind of do their own exploration, and that's kind of their whole, that's the quest. Is now I'm cursed and I have to remove it somehow. So, oh, I got rid of the years from the Grimalkin weapon. Now I'm doomed. Unless I can find a way to get rid of this curse. But maybe there actually is something that King Pushkin is willing to trade. You can go to his shrine outside of High Hankel or by Lankshorn and lay the weapon down at the shrine. And in exchange for the weapon, he'll give you back your years. So if at the end of it all, if you want to get rid of that sword, if you're willing to give it away, then, because it's a very powerful weapon, it's a +1 at least, plus maybe +2. It's a +1 magic item that lets you vanish and get +4 damage or +4 to attack for D4 rounds. That's a really powerful item. But to the realm of King Pushkin. Actually, I have to look that up. What's it actually called? So that's going to drive me nuts. Oops, going back. Where is his realm? Is it in here? Yeah, there it is. Oh, I see. He's basically left. Oh, never mind. He's just in Dolmenwood. He doesn't have his own realm. That's right. I forgot about that. Oh, that makes it a little harder. Because he doesn't have a realm to take you to. He is in Dolmenwood, right? He's a Grimalkin king who's completely abandoned Fairy and gone native in his domain in the mortal world. He has faded over the centuries. Could it just be King Pushkin's sword? That's a really cool idea. Maybe it's just his sword. It's not just a random sword. Oh yeah, Beor, that's right. I did want to do Tiny Fable stuff with... Well, I wanted to do the Tiny Fable stuff with the Shadow Dude. Or the Shadow Stone. But I was thinking that the cat that's in charge of the rat bandits would probably be just a Grimalkin. I was thinking of it just being a Grimalkin. But yeah. I do want to do Tiny Fables for sure. Yeah. What if we just call it King Pushkin's Claw? Cats have claws. Yeah. And I can maybe come up with more there. Exactly there. He's a fairy. Well, and plus he's not really around anymore. So if you find it, then maybe it's the sort of weapon that periodically vanishes. Maybe it's vanishing, but then it sometimes doesn't come back with you. So in other words, like he gives it to mortals, or he drops it or misplaces it, and mortals get to use it for a while, and then it just shows up again, and then it disappears because King Pushkin took it back. And then someone else gets it. And so like it's a sword that appears in different stories and folk stories. King Pushkin's Claw, or King Pushkin's Bodkin. The Cheshire Slasher, yeah. Yeah, Tiny Fables Ulfhammer is a yeah, Bear, thank you. It's a mouse herder adventure. It's one of the best adventures out there for for Mouse Ritter, for really almost any game. But Tiny Fables is so adorable, and it's something I've wanted to put in as a fairy realm or as a place in Dolmenwood. The players would have to be kind of shrunk down for that adventure, but it's such a cool idea. I could see that being a whole character, a whole arc or a whole story. It reminds me a little bit, if you guys have ever played the Minish Cap, you could make it so that there's actually many places in Dolmenwood where you shrink down to the size of mice, and there's like little toadstool rings you step into, and when you do, you shrink down, and then you can size back up when you leave, and you could put an entire secondary world in Dolmenwood, just small, like the Minish world from Minish Cap and Zelda, and then you could put in a whole bunch of Mouse Ritter adventures all scattered around. Tiny Fables, you could do the 1,000 Doors. Yeah, what do you call a bunch of kittens? What do you call? It's not a clutch. It's not a pack. What do you call them? It's like we had a litter. A litter. Yeah, King Pusskin's litter runs his realm back in Fairy. King Pusskin's blade. Yeah, he's abandoned his litter. He's abandoned his realm. He's not interested in it. He was interested in being kind of an adventurer. Yeah, King Pusskin. He loved Dolmenwood. He wanted to live there, have his fun, and engage in that. And now he's barely really in existence anymore, but occasionally he still shows up. King Pusskin's blade, or something. There's a better word than blade for that. I'm sure that there is. I don't know what it would be. But, yeah, what's a better word than blade? This is what thesaurus.com is for. Thesaurus.com. What do we have here for blade? What are we looking for? His edge, his shank, his knife, his cutlass. King Pusskin's edge, King Pusskin's shank. Shank works. King Pusskin's point. Yeah, I think any of those could work. Maybe it's not a long sword. Maybe it's a short sword or a dagger. Right, exactly, Ulfheimer. That's a great idea. Yeah, so sometimes it's maybe he gives it. Maybe it's an accident. Sometimes you find it. But it's an item that can come and go. If it's his blade. Yeah. The Mice Mincer. Yeah, King Pusskin's Claw. I like the Mice Mincer. That's like what he calls it. The Mice Mincer. That sounds like something that a Puss in Boots type would say. And I think of King Pusskin as like a Puss in Boots type. Yeah. Awesome. The Mice Mincer. That's really funny. Oh, I like that. Okay, I think I'm just going to do a couple more items here. No, actually, that's right. Someone suggested earlier, I think, was it TDM? Was it you? Who suggested going to the kindred beliefs for rumors? I think that's a great idea. I'm going to roll a couple of these beliefs into hooks. So let's start with Breggle. Okay, so we have the D12 for the Breggle beliefs. 5. Daily garlic wards fairy hexes. That's kind of a weird one. 10. Malbleat will rule the high wold. Now that's a good one. I mean, that does connect you to the world itself. Malbleat. Now, Malbleat is the one with the Melda song? Yeah, that's Malbleat. He's the bad guy in a Melda song. I wonder if you could lay the groundwork for a Melda song. Malbleat has been asking for singers. He's been paying bards from all over Dolmenwood. Because that's the whole point, is that Imelda has to sing. That's the way to wake up the magic, is for the girl to sing. Someone to sing. And so he's been looking for someone who has the right voice. Yeah. Malbleat has been hiring bards and musicians from all across Dolmenwood, but dismisses them angrily after just a few moments of their performances. Right, that's a good rumor. Because it's like, wait, why is he hiring all these musicians and then dismissing them really quickly, angrily, after just a few minutes? Like, why are these bards coming to him? They're being paid, and then he doesn't want to listen to them. He listens to their voice for a second and then has them leave. That's a good rumor because it puts a hook in the players' minds, but it's not actionable. Right? It is actionable in one sense. Like, it creates an interest for Malbleed. Maybe I'll make that a bit more. Maybe a friend has asked them to accompany Malbleed. No, that's too direct. I'll find a connection there. Maybe if one of the players is a bard, then that would be a good reason to go there. Or if they're a wood group, then that would be a good reason to go there. So I'll keep that one in mind. But I like that. Malbleed has been hiring bards and musicians from all across Dolmenwood, but dismisses them angrily after just a few moments. But he's not hiring, interestingly enough, he's not hiring king's bards. Free minstrels. Because he doesn't want to tangle with the king's bards. Right? That's not his thing. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, king's bards are, in my world, bards have to pick if they're free minstrels or king's bards. King's bards are scalds. They're official. They're trained in the college down in what is it, Loxton College, down in Endon, the Rainy City. Whereas free minstrels are not trained by the king. They're just bards who are on their own. So that creates kind of an interesting dimension for them. They're more independent, but they also have less institutional support and therefore less trust from certain groups and more trust from others. Okay, so that's Malbleed. That's a good one. All right, let's do an elf one. Let's do an elf one. That was a talk die. 7. Mortals evolved from fungi or fungi. No, I'm gonna skip that one. 1. All plants are sentient. Yeah, that's harder to make into an actual gameable one as well. Yeah, TDM, I think it's a cool title, King's Bard. I think if I were to play a bard, I'd probably pick King's Bard rather than a free minstrel. Free minstrels are cool, but I like the idea of just being like your own self-taught kind of person who has this magic and the power of music, who has learned the power of music. But being a King's Bard, it's a cool idea. Understands the speech of stars. That's cool. Something about someone reading the stars and their warning. Someone really non-interactable, TDM, let's see. Desires. Oh yeah, I guess that's a good way of doing it too. You could roll up a good fairy who's out in Dolmenwood for that. Savor the finest of mortal life. Yeah, you could definitely have one of the nobles of High Hankel is actually a fairy in disguise, causing all sorts of trouble. Like getting into duels, seducing spouses, disrupting feasts and balls, just causing all this high drama. That could be kind of fun. Right, so you have this noble who's always different. Every time they show up, there's somebody new. Like there's these random nobles are showing up. And they're causing all these disruptions, and they're just disrupting all of society in High Hankel. And it turns out that it's actually one elf. It's not a whole bunch of different nobles who are showing up out of nowhere and disappearing. It's actually one elf who's just changing his shape and going to these balls and parties and doing all these outrageous things. That could be kind of fun. Causing just like immense trouble and misery, but also doing strangely kind and heroic things, just like doing everything. He's like a really, really creepy Raskolnikov. Is that the voice? What's the guy's name from The Possessed by Dostoevsky? I forget. He's the guy who just does like, at the one time he's convincing the one dude that there's no truth and everything's despair and all that. He's at the same time experimenting to see if he can convince another guy that the Orthodox faith is true and that God is real and all these things. So he's like experimenting with people's souls around him just to see if he can do it. It's like a fairy version of that. He's just like seeing what happens. He's just like, what happens if I push mortals in this way? They're so fascinating, right? What fools these mortals be? He's just like a highfalutin puck from Midsummer Night's Dream. Yeah, I'm gonna put that. Noble puck, messing with all of the nobles down in High Hankle. That's a great one. Okay, so anyway, but back to that idea of the stars. This is Stellarium in the Bishop's Palace in Castle Brackenwald. That's cool, Baylor. That's really cool. And this could lead into the Weird That Befell Drake Bolton. I actually don't know if I'm going to run the Weird That Befell Drake Bolton as written. Yeah, exactly, TDM. He's just, but I think that I like the idea of it being like a bunch of different quote unquote nobles. Like no one knows exactly who this guy is or this woman is because it's just always a different person doing all these different things. But if the players choose to investigate or end up investigating, they end up finding that it's the same person. It's the same elf. Yeah. Okay. But I think I do want to run the Weird That Befell Drake Bolton, but not the way that the Weird That Befell Drake Bolton runs. In other words, I think it would be really cool to have a meteor crash near Drake Bolton and make it like an astronomical event and have it be weird and chaotic, but not have it be this alien species that's spreading through all the people and they're drinking it and all that. Like, get rid of all of that, the stuff influence, the sci-fi horror, but still make it something like that. So that's a really good. I'm gonna do that. So, Stellarium in Castle Brackenwald, and then astronomer predicting disaster at Drake Bolton. Yeah, something like that, where the players can be told that they need to go to Drake Bolton to, or like, what's the guy who lives out in Drake Bolton, the mayor there? Maybe he's writing to the astronomer in Castle Brackenwald, and he's like, if I were to do this, that, and the other thing, is that? Yeah, exactly, Bayor. If I were to do this, that, and the other thing, would that be bad? And the astronomer's like, yes, that's a forbidden ritual that calls down the stars of heaven on a location. Don't do it, right? Like, where did you even get that book? And they get sent to, the players could be sent out there to like stop it. And of course they don't. So they get to Drake Bolton and this meteor is crashed. And now it's like, kind of a disaster, but I don't want it to be the same sort of like horror, sci-fi fantasy, science fiction, gross thing, body horror that the Weird That Befell Drake Bolton does. But yeah, Bayor, I really like that idea, going back for a moment, that they all have, all of the different, quote unquote, all of the different people have one thing in common, so that they're obviously maybe the same person. Each of these pretending to be many people, but each has the same telltale sign. Violet eyes or something like that. Elizabeth Taylor she had violet eyes. Her eyes were like purple. It was a genetic defect, but it made her eyes just absolutely gorgeous. Yeah. So they're real. People can have actually violet eyes. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, fairies that live on the moon or something like that. Yeah, TDM, something like that. I think that's a good idea. That'd be a good idea. I don't think I want the meteor to be crashing in Castle Brackenwald. I think I want the meteor to actually be crashing down in Drake Bolton. But there's everyone's rushing for the meteoric metal or something like that. Because, cold iron has a description in here, but you can also say cold iron is meteoric iron. And so if cold iron is bad against, Elizabeth Taylor, yeah, that's how I was talking about, Crow. If cold iron hurts fairies, imagine what meteoric iron would do to fairies. Because it's completely out of this world. Right? Like, cold iron is as non-fairy as anything, but meteoric iron would be even more harmful. It's even more antithetical to what a fairy is. So I can imagine people being desperate to make weapons out of that meteoric iron. So that would be a whole thing in and of itself. Okay, so we've done a couple fairy ones. We go Grimalkin. I actually think we're good with the Grimalkin because we have the cool. Well, I'll roll once on the belief. See if there's anything good there. 6. Magic is fading. The Grimalkin believes that magic is fading. Ooh, I mean, that could be a big hook. Gosh, a good rumor. Magic is fading. I'm going to write that. Not because I think magic is actually fading, but because magic maybe in a particular region or a particular kind of magic. Maybe as the moon reaches a certain phase along with a certain planetary alignment, magic is fading. And think about what that would mean, right? If you were to have magic completely faded for like a night, like that would be the night to strike at all of the different sorcerers. It would be the night to strike at the Droon. It would be the night of like to go after those people who are usually too powerful to mess with. On the other hand, they know that. And so they're going to be prepared for it. Yeah, I think, Matthew, isn't that something like what's happening in the Weird That Befell Drigbolt? And I think the statues are like they come to life in the one guy's house or the one lady's house. Yeah, I like that TDM. It's like straight up kryptonite for them. Yeah, that's a good one too, Bjor. Yeah. Many factions interested in getting their hands on the meteoric iron. Magic is fading. I'm gonna think about that one because I think you could take that idea a lot of different ways. Yeah. Okay, magic is fading. Let's do. Human. I'll just do one of the humans. 4. Naglord brings final doom. I mean, that's not anything in particular. that's pretty obvious. 9. Let's see. Talking beasts plot an uprising. I think really all of these are humanish, so I'm going to skip past the humans because I think we already have enough of them generally. Mosslings. See if there's any ideas here too. Bathing is inimical to health. That does feel like a thing a Mossling would think. You do a rumor about that lady who's going to go visit the moon. Remember, she's creating that contraption to go up to the moon? She's out in eastern Dolmenwood. She's a Mossling, I think, and she's building that machine to go up and get moon cheese. Sort of Ulfhammer. So the anti-fae faction would be the Droon, but they're really about... I mean, sort of in the church is also anti-fae to a degree as well. The witches are not exactly anti-fae, but the Droon are the ones who are really, really anti-fae. And they're sort of like druids. They're like humans, druids, but they're not pro-nature. They are pro-control. They're pro-occult magic and secret. They're cults, basically. They're a cult of people who have gained control of very, very deep magic. And in the Wormskin zines, I think they were kind of like the male equivalent to witches. I think that was the idea, was that you have the witches and the Droons, and they're kind of connected. The Droon don't worship entities, whereas the witches do, but they all kind of... The Droon recognize that there's sort of a connection between them. But yeah, they're part of the Triple Alliance, the Triple Compact, with the Church and the Duke. So it was the Duke, the Church, and then the Droon erected the Ring of Chell, which prevents the big bad fairy from coming back, the Cold Prince. So they're pretty much the anti-fae faction. But you also have, you have Saint Faxus he's against, well, I guess he's against chaos and dark magicians. That's not really, he's actually probably more anti-Droon than anything else. There is a saint that their patronage is protection from fairies, but they're a minor saint, which I thought was funny. You'd think in Dolmenwood that would be a major saint if their patronage was protection from the fairy. But yeah. Exactly, Ulfhammer. Meteoric iron would be valuable to everyone. And it would also be valuable to the fairies, right? Just to get it out of anyone else's hands. Like, everybody wants it. The Droon would want it. The witches could want it. The Naglord would certainly want it. The Cold Prince and all the fairies would want it. The Duke of Brackenwald would certainly want it. High Hankel and the Braigle would want it. I think basically everybody would. So it's a great MacGuffin. Yeah, it's a great MacGuffin, Meteoric Iron. Okay, I'm going to go for 10 more minutes, and then I'm going to call it tonight. This has been going on for about 2 hours. 2.5 hours, yeah. All right, Braigles. Let's see. Fungi are souls of the dead. Oh, that's kind of cool. Not that the fungi are actually souls of the dead, but I think you could have a really cool idea there. You could do like maybe a particular grove of fungi. I mean, in a way, that's exactly just what wrong uncles are, right? Wrong uncles are the dead kind of come back. So maybe that's already out there. Ooh, nearly perfected a deadly song. I like that a lot. Wood grew deadly song. Maybe there's some wood grew. You hear his pipes, and you never rise again. That could be cool. Maybe some outlying village, if everyone was found dead or like deathly asleep. Maybe he doesn't put you, maybe he doesn't kill you. Maybe he puts you into a sleep that you can't wake from. Wood grew deadly songs / sleeping song. Yeah, that could be interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely slowing down here as we start to get tired. Okay. Well, I think this is a great list of stuff that we can give the players. Again, I'm not done. I'm going to have to develop these more, and I'll probably do that on Sunday because we're going to play on Monday. We had to cancel this week again. But I think this week we're going to do this. So, man, let's look at these really quickly. So we have the Singing Spring, which I was going to develop a bit. One of the creatures who drinks from the Singing Spring, one of the cockatrices, can sing you your heart's desire and where to get it. It's like the compass from Pirates of the Caribbean. Tells you how to get the thing you desire most. So everybody wants that cockatrice. One of the singing cockatrices sings where to get the hearer's heart's desire. Then there was the Order of St. Cygnus, the Lich Words, where the anti-undead relic was stolen. Right, there's the bounty on the thief. There's the healing crystals out at Fog Lake, the incandescent grottos. There was the artifact hidden on Shantywood Isle, right? I decided that Madame Shantywood is an age vampire, right? So she's stealing one of the things you do, like for the high rollers, right? Is they get invited into her. They get invited into her chambers, and once they're in there, then they make a bet, and the certain bet is for their life, essentially for their age, and that's how she stays eternally young. She has a mirror that when you look into it, your age is taken by the mirror. You die, you waste away, and then she can look into it and take it from you somehow. Something like that. Then there's Bogwit Manor, which I put a question mark by. I didn't really have anything there, but I think Bogwit Manor could be a really cool place to have a dungeon or an adventure. Then there was the Nifward Tower, which was the fast travel place, and I really liked that. I thought that was really cool. So Nifward Tower, you can go to the different floors, and there are pictures on those floors, and pictures of particular parts of Dolmenwood, and if you step through the picture, you're in that part of Dolmenwood. You can't get back, but it's a place of, it's basically if you can conquer Nifward Tower, or if you can figure it out, then you can use it to get around Dolmenwood more quickly. At least when you're in that part of Dolmenwood. It's a big portal jump, basically. Then there's the missing bard near Fort Volger, and he's going to the Lady of Spring Unending, which is in 402. So you have to rescue him, and then he's like, oh, I have a quest that I have to do out there. Dancing Shadows in 802, which connects to Tiny Fables. That's a cool one. The Langston Rumors, which is the False Saint and other sunken artifacts out there. That would be cool. You could have that be a thing the players hear about. And maybe start with that clue in the background. There's the Lost Worms Horde, Chrysobrith, Chazobrith, or Chrysobrith. I think I misspelled that. Yeah, TDM, me too. I'm calling it in 5 minutes. That's my time. Let's see, Ulfhammer. There's an awesome Scandinavian legend of a Fae Piper who punished people by playing music that made them dance until they wore down to just their heads. It's really cool. That's creepy. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, then there was the Mournblade in Furnival's house. And there's the Amulet of Refraction, which breaks the wearer into different versions of themselves. The Cold Heart, Ointment of Weightlessness. Oh man, the Chimes of Absalom. I forgot about those. Those are so cool. The Chimes of Absalom. The Belt of Hindenburg. The Goblin selling Fairy Stones, Ion Stones. The Wood Grew with the Ring of Delusion. The Rings of Hither and Yon. Lawful Avenger Spear, which is the Lance of St. Cygnus. Mercy of St. Cygnus. King Pusskin's Claw, the Mice Mincer. Malbleat's and Hiring Minsters. A Noble Puck, messing with all that hang. Yeah, these are awesome, man. These are super, super cool. This was very, very useful for me this night. I know it was 2.5 hours, 215 minutes, but this was great. I'm going to work all of these into the world, and I think we have a ton of cool adventure ideas that aren't like quests. I mean, I should say they're not quests. They are quests. They're not campaigns. Right? Some of these are more campaigny than others, but mostly these are adventures or artifacts you could drop into a place, build a little dungeon around them. Right, maybe the Belt of Hindenburg is maybe a bandit or a thief has stolen the Belt of Hindenburg, and it's, he's hiding out somewhere, and that's a bit of an adventure. Or maybe the Chimes of Absalom have to be destroyed because they're too dangerous, or something, and there's only one way to destroy them. You could do things like that, but for the most part, these are just items that the players can either get or not get if they feel so inclined. That's really cool to me. And then there's going to be their starting session 0 adventure. So they're in media res, one of these adventures. That's going to be where they start. And then they have the general 10 rumors that everybody knows. And then they have their hook, their roles, which are their particular tie into the world, and they can develop that into a personal quest line if they want. And then they have just the generic information they get from the player's handbook and from the session 0 stuff. And then as the campaign, I think this is more than enough to start. Way more than enough to start, and probably enough to run many, many campaigns, many, many adventures, and all this stuff. So I don't know if I'm going to need to do that much more prep before the actual session 0. Once we have our session 0, then they'll tell me which of these 10 starting, or these 8 starting quests in media res quests they're going to pick, these ones. Starting sessions, and then I'll know what to prepare particularly for the first session. So, and I think really all I'm going to do for our next on Sunday is probably flesh out this list. I'll put in the details so that make them actually usable, so that I can hand these out to the players, so that I can have them roll twice each. Oh, no problem, Ulfhammer. This one had no tech issues, so I'll post it. There were no tech issues on this one, so if you want, you can always go back and see where we went through all this stuff. I'm loving them too. These have been super useful for me, super helpful. And I'm glad I got a chance to do it today, even though I was sick yesterday. I think it worked out. Or not sick exactly. I was just not feeling great. So, okay, cool. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out. This was super fun, and everybody who watches this, I hope you enjoyed it too. Hope you guys, anyone who made it to the end. These are great ideas. I can't take credit for all of them. And that's the great thing about these collaborative prep. It's really cool to have you guys helping me, and we can go through this stuff. I hope you guys use some of these ideas for yourself, because these are awesome. If you do end up using any of these, let me know how they go, because I think these are super cool hooks and ideas from the world for the world. All right, cool. Night, everybody. Hope you all have a great week.